Good evening and welcome to Late Night in the Rockies on We Are Paradox Media. I am your host, TessaTNT, and tonight we are joined by the Naturopath Sinsate, Scott Collin. And Scott says, I remember being 22, 23. I was at a party with two dear friends who were sitting together on the other side of the garden to me. I could feel them and it wasn't nice. I walked up to them and asked why they were talking about me. They shocked and looked amazed on their faces, and it left them speechless as to how I knew. It was by accident I discovered I could sense people in a remarkable way, which has become an instinctual knowing. My earliest memory, I have been super sensitive to people, their emotions, and especially what's happened in their bodies. Many know me as a qualified naturopathic practitioner, and after 12 years, I decided to shift from simply being a naturopath to my true calling, Scott Naturopath Sinsate. Since that party and numerous times since, the stunned reactions on people's faces has become normal for me. The irony is that I had been in training my entire life and just didn't realize it. For the longest time, I felt there was something wrong with me. I felt weird and unusual, like a misfit. I tried to fit in, and in the process of attempting to please others, I put on so many masks that I almost forgot what it felt like to be me. Since late 2017, I felt like I was suffocating under all those masks, and one day I just snapped. My true essence had enough of hiding out. I can no longer deny who I am and what comes so naturally to me, and fills my heart with joy. I love to help people transform their lives, their health, and opening beings' hearts to their true gifts. This year marks a new chapter in my life. I openly declared my passion and love for healing with my intuitive gifts as Scott Collins, Naturopath Sinsate. I decided to take my own advice, trusting in who I am and what I do. If you work with me, I will ask the same of you, to trust you so you can create your own magic. Hey Scott, welcome to the show.
Hi, that was awesome intro. Thank you.
No worries. And it's so awesome to read and to see kind of the journey you've gone through to find you and who you truly want to be and what makes you happy.
Yeah, it's been a long road. I'm approaching 50 years of age now, and it's been a road of self-discovery and self-awareness and self-learning the whole time. Who am I and what makes me tick? And what I discovered was I was simply making my existence wrong. And then one day I went, it's okay to be me.
So before this party that you were talking about in your bio, did you have any inklings or any clues as to what was going on within you?
No, I just thought there was a whole level of wrongness to me and that I was just weird and people didn't like me. That was just this really just awkwardness of being me. It was horrible.
It is, especially going through school and being a kid. You feel so awkward anyways, and I kind of found myself going through the same thing, sharing my paranormal stories with people, and they'd be like, wow, this girl is weird, stay away from her. And so I didn't have a lot of friends, but I find quality is better than quantity, and I try to share that with my kids as well. But it is hard being the odd man out.
It was difficult, and I grew up in isolation. I have two brothers. I have a twin brother and a younger brother, and they have really great relationships with people, really great relationships and friendships. And I found that I just wasn't close to people, and it wasn't until recently that I discovered it wasn't that I couldn't get close to people; it's that I could feel all their emotional stuff. So I'd realized that I was keeping my distance so that I didn't have to feel their stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of people who are empathic find it hard to be in public because you do feel other people's feelings, other people's intentions, and when you're in a large group, it can be overwhelming. Do you have that happening as well?
Yeah, I just had a recent situation a few nights ago where I went to a function and there was 100 or so people in the room, and I could feel the fear and anxiety in the people because of all their nervousness about being in a large group of people in a high energy room, and it was just overwhelming. I was using every sensei trick in the book, as they say, to stay present, to stay in my body, and to really just be able to receive what was happening in the room. It was crazy. And the next day I had to go to the beach and really just get in the ocean and get myself back into my body again. I was just a little bit taken aback, but I did have a beautiful experience there with a lot of amazing people, but I felt so much. It was incredible.
So can you tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and how you became this sensei of naturopath?
Sensate. No, I call it sensate, which is just a hyperstated feeling. It was just a way of describing how I work with clients, because it's really just I feel so much when I'm sitting next to somebody. I literally mirror what's in their body. This will make you laugh. I can actually have period pain. If I'm sitting next to a woman who's having period pain, I get period pain. It's crazy, and I feel whatever's happening in someone's body, in my body. That's how I know, as a practitioner, what I'm working with. I can feel someone's hip. I can feel their back or their whatever's going on. But that took me a long time to fine-tune that. It took me quite a number of years of actually coming into awareness of it, and then actually fine-tuning into how to work with clients at that level. But I became a naturopath first most about 12 years ago, or more longer, 15. Actually, I'm going to go back further. So I'm nearly 50 now, and I was in my early mid-20s when I was sick with a gastroesophageal reflux disease. You call it GERD, and I was suffering terribly from poor diet. And the long story is, I essentially started to see a naturopath myself to get assistance, because my medical practitioner was just drugging me with a particular medicine to stop the symptoms, but wasn't addressing my diet. And through that journey, and I'm from Australia too, by the way. I'm in a city called the Gold Coast, which is midway up the east coast of Australia. It's a surfing town. It's pretty amazing. It's a really beautiful part of the world, just as Colorado is from what I've been looking at on the map here. And what I've experienced is that through this journey of finding out who I was, that I was really, really good at studying. And I'd never studied previously. I'd never been to university. And I got really good at what I was doing. I found that I had passion for it. I found I really loved it. But then after a decade of working in the field, I was starting to get a bit despondent to my profession. It was almost mimicking medical profession, where all I was doing was handing out pills, just natural pills and natural supplements, and I wanted to do something more. So then I started studying meditation, mindfulness, different practices of breathing, consciousness, to discover that I could actually use a lot more tools with the medicines to get better results. So not only was it for my own journey, my own health, because I fixed my health problem, I solved it. I stopped it through changing my diet, changing my stress, and having a better relationship with me. And then I started to apply those practices to my clients, and we started getting better results. Because when I was just handing out pills all day long, I found that I was just symptomatically relieving clients, until we started to address the deeper energetic signatures in their body. What is this pain? What is it caused from? Where does it come from? How did you create it? So these questions started to come up about going deeper. So my journey for my own exploration of my own self and who I am and my own self-esteem, because that's been the driver, is my self-love story. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like where I was from. I didn't like my family. I hated myself more than anyone could have ever hated themselves. Just for being. I didn't want to be here. There's times where I just didn't want to exist because of how awkward I felt being me. Until someone that I was working with said to me, Scott, it's actually okay to be the misfit. It's really fine to be the magic, which is your brilliance. And that was the first time I actually got permission to be me. And now I've got this skill set and awareness with natural medicine, plus the consciousness tools to really support me and to support other people on their journey.
Have you found anyone during your work that has something basically out of this world as far as an illness or ailment or sickness that really isn't on the medical books, that can't be treated with modern day medicine, that you guys have to go in and work on in a different way?
Normally people who find me have been through the medical system and I'm their last port of call. So yeah, there are various stories of people who've tried everything and they come to naturopaths, they come to people like with my skill sets as I'm not sure else what to do, what else can you do? I've had to make medicines for people. I've handmade medicines to support people, or I've created things that didn't exist because I was intuitively guided to make something to support someone. So yes, I've seen all sorts of crazy stuff that I can't explain. No one can. There's no test results. There's no explanation of why this condition is presenting, and we actually just see all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what's out there and what the medical field can't figure out. There's so many illnesses out there that people have that aren't in the books, and we're discovering new things. So it's pretty interesting the work that you do and how you are able to help people not only through your energy work, but through, like you said, producing your own medicines for people.
Yeah, like it's natural medicine. We don't deal with any pharmaceuticals. We will use plants, nutrition, homeopathics. There's a whole bunch of different tools that we'll use. I may use aromatherapy, essential oils. I just don't know what will turn up until I'm actually faced with a situation. Then it will come to me. I'll be inspired by an idea or a notion to work with a client in a particular way.
And you find their elements and such by working with their energies? You just feel it within yourself, or can you kind of put your hands out and feel where it is on their bodies? How exactly does that work for you?
Well, when we do the callers, we'll see. But the way it works at the moment is that I have a feeling in my body. So, and unfortunately, I feel the pain of someone. That's how I tell, in my body. But it's probably only at a very minor extent of what someone else's experience might be. So I will reflect and mirror into my back, my hips, my joints, my arm, my neck, the liver pain or the pancreas or whatever. I'll start to feel different things.
Does that stick with you after you work with a client, or are you able to kind of shake it off? How do you get that feeling to go away from you?
It's really fortunate. It's like changing the channel on the TV. I've just learnt to keep a distance that I switch out pretty quickly. I have to kind of do that, otherwise I'll be a mess.
Right? I know, and some people, who don't know what they're doing, but they are out there trying to help people, but they're not quite studied in the field or know exactly how to shake it off or get these pains or feelings off of them, can actually gain these sicknesses on their own. Have you ever seen anyone who wasn't really deep in the field of this study that have had these issues?
I can't say that I have, but what I can compare it to is a lot of friends of mine who are like personal trainers and coaches. I don't have a lot of friends I got a lot of friends from when I went to university with, but not that I'm actually who know doing this kind of work that I'm doing. And what I've observed in people is that they don't realize that it's not them that they're feeling. So like I work on the principle that 99% of what I'm actually experiencing isn't mine, and I have a really conscious focus on handing it back. So many empaths and so many people who are very sensitive will actually be processing or experiencing things for other people that they don't even know they're doing. Inside relationships is a classic example, or I've often seen where children will take on stuff for their parents and parents will take on their children, and it's just really interesting watching how the energies flow. And I have to really keep clear. Like I will probably clear myself 10, 20, 30 times a day, just constantly. Is this mine? Is it somebody else's? Is it mine? Is it somebody else's? And constantly checking in. And then when I get home from doing the groceries or get home from an event, I'll get to my house and I just have this sigh of relief that comes over me like, oh, I'm in my space again. And that freedom that I've learnt to experience and how I deal with it, I want to share with other people so they can actually start to shake it off, and these other healers can shake it off, and these other, coaches and practitioners can shake it off. So I think everyone's gifted. I think everyone's sensitive. I think it's really, we all just need more tools in our toolbox and come into a level of what I call self-mastery or self-practice and really just focus on a daily basis.
Have you found that in recent years there are more people with gifts than, let's say, back 50 or more years ago? Or is it just people are realizing it?
I think it has a new level of acceptance, and I think I'm in a circle of people which it's common practice. So I have more people who have gifts in my life than don't, if that makes sense. And from years ago, if I look at my upbringing in Australia, which is probably my town, I'd say that when I was growing up, I really can't say that I met anyone until I got to university. And then I was exposed to a whole new world of people that I never knew existed. I left my corporate life. I was in sales and corporate, so I only dealt with from my early 20s, and I went back to university in my mid 30s. And it wasn't until I experienced the university life that I had this amazing cacophony of people come into my world that I went, wow, I didn't know you existed. I didn't know that was possible. And holy cow, I didn't know about meditation. I remember this girlfriend of mine saying, Scott, she goes, will you shut up? You talk about yourself so much. And that was the first time I realized that I was self-absorbed and self-interest and overcompensating and all these things that we do when our self-esteem is destroyed. And she actually was the first one to bring it to my awareness. And I went, wow, someone's actually showing me what's happening about how I'm communicating and why I'm over-communicating, over-compensating. So here I have this whole new experience of people that are now, I'm learning a new way of being from my family and from my corporate life, which were my only reference points.
Yeah, and it's funny how sometimes it takes somebody to call you out on that before you realize what you're actually doing. You probably didn't realize how self-absorbed you were until she called you out onto the carpet about it.
I would say you could probably consider me an arrogant a-hole prior to her conversation.
I see it now.
I was very good at sport in high school, so I had that very cocky alpha male captain of the basketball team kind of energy. And I was captain of the basketball team. So I was still very insecure, but I overcompensated through overachieving.
Yeah, sometimes we do that. And I'm just talking to people in the chat room. I'm like, hey, call in, because I have a friend in here, and she's had this really bad migraine today. And I'm like, call in and get a reading and see what kind of help you can get. And I'm excited to see what you do and how you do it. And I mean, you can feel free to do it on me as well if you'd like, because we've kind of kept from talking to each other because I like to keep everything fresh and real. And if I talk about something before the show, I may forget to talk about it during the show. So I try not to do that. But yeah, I'm hoping that people call in and get some help, because we do have friends and listeners in the chat room who do have health issues and pains and problems. And I'm excited to see how you work and what you do. And you were telling me a little bit earlier about an experience you had in a sea of jellyfish. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was living, I've told this story a few times. I love it because it's one of the most powerful experiences that I have of going beyond the known. And I was living in Malta. So Malta is a small island which is above North Africa but below Sicily, Italy. And it's in the middle of the Mediterranean. It's tiny. And I was living there for about 6 months with the teacher that I was studying with. And one day I decided that I wanted to go and swim in the ocean, in the sea actually. And because I love waves. I love it when the waves get up. And the Mediterranean is quite flat. It's really it's more like a warm bath than it is like an ocean experience. And the one particular day, the water was had quite a good amount of waves, and I got really excited, and I was just about to run to the water as fast as I could, and my teacher grabs me by the arm and says, "Stop." And she grabbed me, and she had this awareness, because I was just so giddy from seeing a wave. I completely didn't even tune into the energy or feel the energy of what it was. And she grabbed me, and we sat down and we meditated for about 40 minutes. And she goes, "Go to the ocean, go and swim now." So I've, like this kid is so excited, I run to the water and I've jumped in, and I've caught wave after wave after wave, and I'm absolutely just gleaming with joy. And when I was finished, I had absolutely no awareness that I was swimming in a sea of jellyfish that they had barbed tentacles that could hook into me. And when I walked out of the water, it was literally like, they parted for me as I walked out of the water. And I can't explain how that happened, but it was something magical. It was something so unreal. The sheer volume of jellyfish, statistically, I should have been torn to shreds.
Yeah, jellyfish are very scary. When I was living in Miami, Florida, I was a kid, and my dad took us to SeaWorld, and they make these toys right in front of your face out of melted plastic that forms into either a dolphin or a whale or whatever. And I'm on the beach, and I see the same colored thing on the beach, so I run up and go to grab it thinking I found a SeaWorld toy, and right as I went to grab for it, it kind of just snapped at me and stung my hand. And I remember kind of going
Ow.
into it seemed like an alternate reality. Like, it seemed like things were real, but they weren't, and I was very feverish, and I felt like I was tripping at a very young age, and then my dad had to pee on my hand, which was very traumatic. But
it would be.
Yeah, for you to have to go through that and be able to kind of part the sea of jellyfish, that's pretty awesome.
I am still gobsmacked to this day. And this teacher of mine, she was almost mystical in how she did life. So, and that was really the starting point of my journey into really becoming, I would say, professionally focused on experiencing energy. And sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
No, I've lost it now.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was going to ask, have you had any other experiences like that are really quite profound and spiritual that you just can't explain?
It gets a bit numerous. Honestly, it becomes magical life. It hasn't always been 100% magical, but there have been experiences where I can't explain how I've met someone or how this person turned up in my life. Or, recently I was at the beach and I was meeting some friends of mine, and there was a whole bunch of people there, and then there was another woman who wasn't with the group, but I didn't know she wasn't with our group. And I got introduced to her like she was an old friend, and I had this experience with this new friend that was like I'd known her forever, and I can't explain it. It was like, an old soul past life thing. It was just, this person was just happened to be sitting next to the group of people who were having a barbecue, and next minute she's a new friend of mine in my life that I just had the most amazing connection with. And then there was a time I was, again, living in Malta, and my teacher said to me, "I want you to go out today and simply feel every experience and trust your body." And I've packed a backpack, I've put food in there, I've put wet weather gear, I've put water, I've put kind of contingencies forever. I don't know how long I was going to be out, how long I'd be walking, where I'd end up. So I had every contingency plan. Mind you, it wasn't that scary because Malta, I'm not sure how big it is in miles, but it was 30 kilometers in across and width. So you could drive around the country in 40 minutes, pretty much. And this one particular day, I'm hiking, and I end up in a dress store. It was so awkward. It was uncomfortable because I'm in this dress store for 30 minutes, but my intuition said to stay. and the women running the dress store would have asked me 10 times, "Can I help you? Can I help you?" It's to the point where it's really awkward. And what actually happened was someone came into the store on their mobile or their cell phone, we call it mobile, on their cell phone, and I had to overhear this conversation. And from that conversation, I walked up to this lady after she hung up on the phone. I said, "I'm so sorry I overheard your conversation, but I'd like to know more about what you were talking about." And then what she did is she connected me to a whole bunch of people in Malta who were from all over the world, different countries, who met weekly and had different social events. So it completely opened my world up to this amazing group of people just by waiting and trusting for that conversation, because I had no idea that they were even on the island.
It's pretty interesting how life puts different people in our paths to help. There's a lot of people out there who need help but are afraid to ask for it, and for somebody to be able to come up and pick up on that is pretty awesome. So
yeah, I kind of...
Go ahead.
I had crazy experiences like that all the time. I was working with a lady. I did a live show here in Australia back in February where I had a live audience. I started doing a Highland jig. I literally started doing that Scottish dancing.
Yeah.
I literally was like, "What's going on with my body? It wants to do this Highland jig." And I was talking to her, and she said, "Scott, I've forgotten how much I loved dancing as a child, and that's what my grandmother did, was the Highland dancing." So sometimes I feel what's within people that they've shut down, they've forgotten what brings them joy. And another lady that I was working with, and the same event actually, and I'm working kind of like how I don't know, Esther Hicks's work, how she brings people into the hot seat, out of the audience.
No, so I haven't.
I haven't seen it. I bring people onto stage with me, and I just let it flow. Whatever happens, I just follow the energy. And I had this experience where I just started singing Queen. I went, "Mama, whoa, whoa, whoa." I just broke into a song like that. And I said to her, "What does that mean to you, that song?" She goes, "Oh, I love Queen so much. I just haven't been listening to music lately." So these random experiences come into my life, and I just flow with them. Who knows what will happen today?
Yeah, I love Queen. And that's my 4-year-old daughter's favorite song. She'll just be walking around the house singing it. And it's so awesome. I'm like, I instilled that in her.
And to your listeners, I will practice my singing, I promise.
Yeah, we should have a Paradox Radio karaoke show some night.
The talent quest, conscious talent quest.
Right?
Do you know, I did something even more spontaneous yesterday. I went and bought a guitar. I literally just walked into a shop and I've just had this inspiration in the last week to want to play music. And I haven't got a musical note in my body. And so this is really confronting for me. I've got this brand new, awesome looking guitar. The guy shows me 2 chords at the shop, and that's about it. And so I've got this new experience waiting to be unleashed. I'm so excited. So
it's very exciting, and music is a big part of us. And I know when I was in the military, especially boot camp, they take everything away from you. Your phone rights, your telephone rights, your music rights, everything is gone. And I remember the thing that I missed the most was music. And I ended up having issues with my feet. My arches were falling, so I had to get arch supports and stuff. But on the way to the medical facility, the bus driver turned on the music, but he turned it on and up so slightly that you could barely hear it. So everybody was so quiet just because they wanted to hear the music. And I feel like it really is a part of us, and it's something that makes us thrive and move forward. And it really is a universal language. Do you feel music is a big part of our lives, or how do you feel about it?
I completely agree with that. It's one of the most powerful healing tools that I work with clients with. I like to respell spinal cord CHORD rather than CORD. And our body is harmonic frequencies, and it just wants the sounds. there's some music which inspires us to climb mountains and overcome obstacles, and there's music that goes us to the darkest, deepest places of who we are, and there's music which just makes us feel at peace. It's just the most incredible resonance that we can experience, and I think it's a part of who we are as creative beings, is that the more we allow our creative essence to come through, the more we connect to music, the more we connect to joy. I will often work with clients and ask them to draw, to paint, to sing, to dance, whatever it is that brings out their creative essence. And music is just the most amazing catalyst for creating that inspiration to go beyond, to go further than you thought possible.
It's really amazing how that does help and how it is therapeutic. I know when I lost my niece, she was murdered, and I just went out in the yard and I kept digging and planting and just imagining this beautiful yard that I would have in the future. But it was so therapeutic digging in the dirt and getting my hands in there and kind of connecting with the earth, as well as listening to music at the same time. And I know when I was younger, I used to write a lot of poetry, and I would draw and paint. And sometimes in life, due to certain, maybe perhaps abusive relationships or a loss of a loved one or whatnot, a lot of us lose those parts about us, lose our ability to write poetry or to do art anymore, or to connect with the earth. We kind of pull back, and it really is sad, but it is quite human to do so.
Yeah. When you get knocked on your behind, it's tough to get up sometimes. And sometimes we end up in a position where we say, what's the effing point of this life? What's next? Every time I stand up, I just keep getting a punch. Every time I try to do something, I get knocked back down. But we can change that. We can move through these experiences. I've often called my life Mike Tyson meets Rocky 6.
All right.
And my experience is a privileged life. I live in Australia. I have an education. So what my version of getting knocked on my teeth is nothing compared to people in other parts of the world. It's not even a comparison whatsoever. But it's what and how I've handled the emotional aspect of me in my self-esteem response, and who I think I am to the world, and who I think I am worthy of being. That's been the challenge that I've had to overcome, and music has been that part of me where literally, if you put on the Rocky soundtrack, I am literally climbing those stairs and running and waiting to get to the top to jump up and down. That's the experience I get when I put the right music on. I remember when I was studying, I used to listen to, I'm not sure what you call dance music, doof doof, techno, but that dish dish and beat in the background. And I remember I'm studying science with this in my head and loving it. And I had an incredible retention for the knowledge or the studies because of the music. I had a marriage which had failed. I was back at home living with my parents. Myself, and I was in my mid-30s. I couldn't have been feeling any worse about myself, having little money, having to live at home again, and being a student. And then there was this moment where it just clicked in. The music got me through.
And it's amazing how it can do that, and it can touch those parts of you that you feel are numb or missing. And like you said, you hear that song and you feel like you're running up those stairs and you're doing the hop around and fists in the air and whatnot at the top of them. Like, I did it. Or, Adrian! But it kind of gives you that extra oomph and that extra backup that you need to kind of get out of that pit, get out of that hole. And music is amazing. I love it so much. It's my fave.
It is amazing. And then I think coming back into if clients work with me, look, I am going to encourage the creative experience, no matter how it turns up in someone's life. We don't have to be artists. One of my favorite things is designing products. Could be as boring as bat poop to someone else, but to me, to create something that didn't exist, or to make something that I can change someone's experience with, I get excited about that. I have a friend of mine who's an amazing Australian artist, and she creates very detailed landscape paintings. And and to watch how she works is phenomenal to me to see how she does it, but to her it's easy. So we all have our innate skills and gifts. It's finding where our creative talents actually lay. When we embellish this creativeness, it changes people's world, because what happens, it re-engages this purpose of being, purpose for living, that you become creative again. And when we become creative, become the creators, we create life. It's in that essence of creation that life returns.
And life is a gift. And I try to tell that, I have been there as a teenager where you feel like there's no point in anything, there's nothing left to be done, and people don't want to be here anymore. And I've been there, done that, and after a few lessons realized I was meant to be here for a reason. And a lot of people don't see that beauty in life, and that it is a gift. And it is a gift that a lot of people aren't lucky enough to hang around and get to partake in. So many good souls are taken from us so early on in life, and it makes people, really wonder, what's the point in that when this really evil person over here is living till they're 105, But I think there's a reason that the good die young, but there's a reason that others of us are here. And like you were saying about your friend who has the gift, and earlier on you were saying how we all have our own gifts, and I believe truly that we do. A lot of us are closed off to it because of ways we were raised, ways our parents kind of shut that window or door on us, thinking it's just our imaginations, the different things we're experiencing or seeing or feeling. And so people kind of close that door or that window. Some of us kind of put it on pause and then try to recoup it later on in life. But I mean, as a child, like I have 4, and anytime they come to me with, my youngest, she'll come to me with past life things that she experienced in her past life. And my other kids will come to me with different entities and such that they've seen. And like with my daughter with the past life, no, honey, I don't remember that, but I do believe you, and feel free to tell me anytime, because I don't want to close that window or door on them. And I want their gifts that they've been given by God or whoever, those of you out there think it comes from, be able to build on those and to help your fellow man, because I believe that's why we are given these gifts, not only for us, but for those around us, that we're meant to help and, like I said earlier, kind of raise up and bring out of the hole.
Yeah. Our contribution to each other is significant. I have a saying that I use: every experience, everything that you see, everything that you hear, everything that you do, everything that you say is a key to unlocking self. And that relationship to self is the magic that as soon as you actually find a way of being in this world, which is that creative essence, which is your magic, it flows, because you give yourself permission to be the misfit, give yourself to be whoever you want to be without the judgment of having to be the conformist human, whatever that may be anyway. And that creative spirit is what drives me now. Like, you don't have to have money to be creative. You can go and collect trash and make plastic sculpture. You can collect newspaper and make things, cut out magazines and make a collage. There's so many ways to be creative. At the beach with sand, and hum on your own, sing on your own space. Even if you have got an injury or an incapacitation, you can still wiggle your body or hum or something. And, and seeing that magic in everybody and giving everyone permission to be their magic is when we break through these paradigms of judgment and separation. And that's probably the most significant thing that we have, because we're all sentient, feeling beings. We feel what humans are capable of, and that's where this separation occurs, rather than, they had a really shitty story. I'll give them permission to be who they need to be while they work through their pain and suffering. I'm not going to judge them or make it worse.
Yeah, and it's important to let somebody work through that. And yes, sometimes this person you are at that moment can be a little ugly, but maybe at that point you need to be that person, get that ugliness out or that hate or whatever you have that you've been trying to hold down for so long. Let it out.
Yeah.
And it's good to let people be open and to work through those things and not feel judged or put down or kind of muted, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. that this, what I'm working on in my life is being an allowance and awe of all humans, no matter how crappy or shitty or whatever the experience could be. It's just to come back into awe of and allowing them to be who they are, who they want to be, and not own it, not make it mean anything about me. And if I do get hooked in, if I do get triggered, well, I go, well, that's something I got to go look at. That's me now. That's me talking. I was on a course recently, and I was really triggered by one of the participants. It was just kind of, I could feel the blood boiling. And she had done nothing wrong other than be herself. And it was a 4-day course, and I had to sit next to her. But I worked through it, and by the end of the 4-day course, we were buddies. But if I had just blamed and pushed away, I couldn't have been able to see her brilliance from where she'd come from, her country of origin, and the way in which they were raised in her country, and the harshness of her country, and the limitations of where she, all these different things were the factors. And it was at the end of the 4-day program that I attended that there was this softening between both of us, where we'd got our rubbish out of the way to see their brilliance. And this state of allowance or state of being is a skill in itself to practice. Let me tell you, not everybody's going to be sunshine and roses. And it was a really good awareness to be able to keep being present with her, to find the gold, to find the love, to find the magic within her.
It is a process, but it's so important. And I'm so glad you're here and you're helping people work through these things and realize these things. And like you're saying with this girl you met at this conference, at first, if you had just picked up on the energy she was putting out, you might have just sat across the room and just kept, your judgment or what thought you had about her at that moment going. But then you learned who she was and what an amazing person she was. And I think everybody is brought into our lives for different reasons, whether it be a lesson for us to learn or a lesson for them to learn, or for us to help them, or vice versa. There's so many different things out there and so many different stories and outcomes.
There is. I always ask the question, what's the gift in this for me? That's how I manage to work through this. What's the gift in this relationship? What's the gift in this situation? Or another question that I've learnt from studying access consciousness is called, what is it that I'm not getting in awareness from this situation? What is it that I need to be aware of from this, or come into an aha moment about this person or myself? And it actually is a really cool way of asking questions rather than causing blame or projection. When we point our fingers externally, it's often we need to look backwards at us.
And I've heard that before, like people saying, this person is talking to you this way because of the way they feel about themselves. They're just projecting about how they feel inwardly, and they're projecting it on you. And you see it happen time and time again. If somebody doesn't know how to work through their pain or things they've been through, they'll project it on others. They kind of try to spread that pain and make others sharing it with them, when there's other ways to deal with it and ways to heal together. But it's hard to get past that point of anger and dishevelment where you kind of want to drag other people into the hole with you. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like if we keep talking about a problem, we're hoping a solution will turn up. We keep going around and talking. We're going to talk to this person. We're going to have a bitch to this person. We're going to whinge to this person, and we're telling the same story. It's because the pain hasn't been solved. The pain hasn't been resolved in self until we actually get to a point where we don't need to tell the story anymore. Then it's done.
So I know you. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. We'll keep going.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I deeply apologize. I was just thinking you were talking about the party you experienced when you were about 22 or 23 and you realized these people were talking down about you. Did you experience that in other places of your life? I know for me and my gifts, things I've seen and heard and experienced and communicated with, my aunt, who is in the Bible Belt, said, what makes you think God's going to help you when you're just communicating with demons, so on and so forth? Like, I don't believe that every ghost on the earth is a demon. I'm here to help people, and God gave me this gift for a reason, and I'm not going to put it on a shelf, you know. I'm going to use that gift and build on it and help other people. And I think for me to put that gift on the shelf would be allowing people to win. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, it just kind of went quiet for a second. I know we got a call, and then let's see who this is. Area code 561. Who are we talking to?
Hello, this is Christopher. I got a different number now.
Hey, Christopher, how's it going?
Going all right. I had a health question. Since my mom died, I've been thinking about my future when it comes to my health, and my health will probably affect a lot what kind of climate I'm looking at. I'm thinking about going back to a place that's warm all year round. Is that good for someone like myself?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it clearly.
Since my mom died, I've been thinking about my a lot of things, including my future, and my health is a big factor because I'm returning where I live. Really, I'm thinking about going back to a warm climate.
So when I started to, what's your name, sir?
Christopher.
Christopher, sorry, my mistake. I'm having a crackled line here. Christopher, the first thing I did is I felt your lungs and your heart. It was like your heart's broken from your mum's experience, but it's been like tender for a long time. You're a very sensitive man, and I also feel like you hold a lot of emotion in your body too. It's almost like there's I'll get to your question about the warmth. I think the warmth feels like a really, really good suggestion for you. Have you been a smoker?
No, I can't. I'm a preemie.
Okay, I just feel like
I was told to avoid it.
Yeah, I just feel like there's congestion in your lungs.
Oh, wow.
It's probably more to do with emotional stuff than the cigarettes. So just normally when I feel lungs, it's usually smokes or emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do any breathing work, like breath work?
Yeah, I do. I try to increase my capacity. I learned a lot of that from helping my mother before she passed away.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really feel like the sun will help you. Are you thinking something like Florida or something warmer like that?
Hawaii.
Hawaii, that's nice. I've been there. I feel like that if this is where when I talked about joy, Christopher, where if you bring music and dance in, I think the Hawaiian lifestyle would be amazing to enjoy a luau and to enjoy some Hawaiian spirit and, to walk on the beach and walk in the forest and dance and beat on a drum. You could probably go and learn how to play a bongo or some sort of drum that would be awesome for you just to beat away on. And it'll also get that energy out of your body that you've been holding onto and trapped for so long. It's almost like you're a kettle about to explode of all these unexpressed creative energies within you.
Yeah, it sounds like a place I could finally be creative. I just feel the spiritual energy of the place too, like Pele and other things. Is like the whole place is like a temple. The whole state.
Cool. Do you eat a lot of fresh produce at the moment?
Oranges.
I feel like you could have a lot more produce in your diet, not just fruits, but your greens, your collard greens and your spinach and those kind of really green foods, like to get those green pigments for your blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I'm as I said, I'm a naturopathic practitioner. You could choose to work with me, but also you may get advice locally if you want to about someone who could just put some things together for you about adding some extra nutrition. I also feel like you could drink a lot more water too. You feel dehydrated to me, like you could use a lot more water.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in naturopathy. There's a lot of things you can do to level out what you already got. You can make yourself better somewhat.
Yeah. So are you having any trouble with your hips?
Yeah, I have cerebral palsy.
Okay. I just feel like there's a lot of tightness. That's probably why, through your back and hips. Yeah.
And it gets worse if I don't walk. That's why eventually I may have to leave this climate where I'm at, because it gets to a point that I can't even, that I'm housebound.
Can you swim?
I'm a shallow, like 10 feet or less.
You can. I think the Hawaiian water would be great for you to wade in, just to float and move your body.
It's near body temperature, so I would not have any issues with temperature regulation.
Cool. And the other thing too, have you ever thought about writing? I feel like you have a story within you that you could write and share.
Oh, I do. I tell Tessa all the time, don't I? Experiences.
Yeah, he's got a lot of interesting experiences through dreams and visions, so on and so forth, about family connections. And I guess recently one of his family members did a DNA test, which kind of proved everything that he'd been talking about beforehand. So that was pretty awesome. A pretty awesome outcome there.
Yeah.
I had a prophetic seeing experience earlier in the week in Latin that says that you are of the household, royal household. And like 4 days later, we had a family meeting. I didn't know about it. She threw this surprise at us, my sister.
Oh, cool.
The whole family had to do it.
Yeah. So I think that what I'm experiencing with you, Peter, and Christopher, is there a Peter in your family? Is Christopher, is that there's definitely, you could benefit from that creative expression, whether you write, whether you dance, whether you move your body in a way which is appropriately safe for you. That expression of writing would be a very powerful way to, even if you just recorded it onto a device and gave it to someone to type up for you, would be a very powerful cathartic experience of expression with who you are. So when I feel your heart and your lung energy, that's where I feel like there's a lot of stifled energy of the experience of love and the experience of heartbreak, and the emotion that is stored in your chest just feels very tight as well.
Mm-hmm. So I found the perfect place to help me release my spirit. Now the goal is to get over there.
I always say you may ask God or whoever you pray to say, show me what's possible, and ask for help to get there.
I astral there already.
Oh, cool.
Well, I hate to interrupt you guys, but we are going to break right now. Feel free to continue to talk. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after these musical notes. Welcome back, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. Tonight we are joined by Scott Collins, the Naturopath Sinsate. Scott, welcome back to the show. So great to have you.
Hey, it's been awesome. Been having fun with Christopher. He's an awesome human being. So yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah, and thanks so much for calling in, Christopher. It was great hearing from you.
Thank you. I hope you have a blessed night to both of you. I'll keep in touch with you, Scott.
Perfect. It sounds great, mate.
Have a great night.
You too. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye, Christopher. Talk to you later. All right, so our next caller is 970 area code. Who are we talking to?
Hey, Miss Tess, it's Glow.
Hey, Glow. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Happy Glow Day.
Happy Glow Day.
Thank you. I do have some questions about CVS, cyclical vomiting syndrome. And I'm just wondering, I'm having a hard time educating my doctors, and I've had it since I've been 8 years old. And when I was 12, I was diagnosed as psychosomatic because I needed to put a name to it. And sometimes the symptoms last for anywhere from 20 to 40 days of vomiting. And within that 40-day period, I'll go to the emergency room 2-3 times, and they can't do anything for me other than give me fluids. They want to run all kinds of tests every time. And I just don't know how to educate them. It's gotten a lot better. It used to be like 3-4 times a year. And it's down to like once a year, but it lasted like 40 days. I don't know what to do. I mean, I know I'm doing it to myself, but I don't know what to do.
Well, there's a whole heaviness over your body, which is what I'm experiencing at the moment. It's almost like there's a 20-ton block of concrete on top of your energetic field. And I'm also experiencing a lot of inflammation through your bowel area as well. So I'm just letting your body experience move into me for a moment, so I can just feel where you are. It also feels like you're shallow breathing, like you're actually not breathing from the full capacity from your body. Yeah. I always look at some conditions as a disruptor of life. Obviously, it is for you. What I'm saying by disruptor in a more metaphorical way is that it's preventing you from being the gifts that you are, and that you're so consumed by your health, because it is pretty serious what you're going through, that it actually distracts you from the possibilities of living life in the purposeful way which you had agreed to come into this world to do. So one of the things this is why I always talk about the joy experience, Tessa, is and what we can do to bring back joy into our life. Even though when we're getting punched and kicked and life seems impossible, just the smallest amount of joy can actually start to shift our consciousness and our nervous system. So I work heavily on the nervous system with clients because as I feel, do you get sinus as well? A lot of sinus infection? I just feel like I have this fluey kind of cold coming through my chest when I tuned into you then. It was like I almost had this, I felt like there's a lot of fluid in my lungs for a moment.
When I'm in that state, yes, but not normally, no.
Okay. It's interesting. It was quite powerful. Like I'd inhaled some water. And it's kind of overwhelming at the moment.
Is that a past life thing? Like, I'm sorry. Did you literally just swallow some water, or do you mean that's what you're feeling?
I'm experiencing it right now. Yes, I didn't literally do anything.
Okay, you know what I mean. I didn't know if you took a drink and were telling me that, or if you.
I think
That's
he's going
perfect.
through the feelings of when you're going through your health issue that you have. You were saying that you do feel kind of a grogginess or whatnot in your lungs and stuff, and I think he's just kind of picking up on your symptoms. Is that what is going on, Scott? Or
It's mirroring in my body, yeah. So I'm actually experiencing the energetics of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is it comes into my body and then it moves through. So I'm just feeling. So the process I go through is that I let the energy move into my experience, and then I interpret, and I'm sitting here interpreting and feeling where it's all connected and what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, and I mentioned the nervous system prior, and I really feel like that you have a significant amount of overthinking and stress in your life, which is, I'm feeling your nervous system in my head's aching. Literally, the electrical activity of you is just crazy. It's like busy, busy, busy up there. And then I'm also getting this real... Sorry?
I was going to say I have mouse medicine, so that makes sense.
Sorry to hear that. And the other experience I'm getting is this deep heartache. It's like this, I'm getting like this stabbing pain into the heart, which is kind of like, and then it's radiating down through my body, this heartache. So it's like this connectedness to the energies that it may not even be yours. It's just kind of what I'm going to go with this, is that you've taken on stuff and it's not even yours. So now I'm experiencing the nausea. Wow, this is crazy. So I'm getting this nausea, which is coming up through into my throat. I'm not sure where you get it. It's like coming up through my gut, up into my throat.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll clear it in a second. So the question to ask is: do you want to release it from your experience?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is it something that I'm holding on to? That's why I said, is it a pathway?
But I'm asking a question though for a reason, for an answer. If that makes sense.
Well, yes, so definitely.
Right. So when people avoid the question, that's why I go, do you really want to shift it?
Yes.
Perfect. Great. So in your heart experience, I'm just going to track down to where this heartache's coming from. So age 15, is that relevant to you?
Yeah. Yes, I was engaged at 15, lived on my own, and was getting beat by the person that I was living with. And since I was living on my own, I was calling into school for myself. So, yes.
Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. Do you know how powerful that you are?
No.
Okay. I'm going to give you a quick metaphor that those who beat up on others are trying to suppress your greatness because of the power which you are. The amazing, energetic, gorgeous power that you are is being shut down by another human because of who you are. And now you get to reclaim that. You get to be the full expression of your beauty and gifts in this world. Is that something you'd like to be?
Yes.
Awesome. What does dancing mean to you?
It can mean lots of things, but to me, gentleness.
Can you feel your heart shifting now?
Yes.
What would it be like just to experience the music and the dance? You've closed your eyes, you've got the timber beneath your feet, you've got your favorite song playing, and there's this waltz where you're just in perfect harmony with the universe.
That would be nice.
So you are this delicate gentleness. You are super sensitive like me.
Oh my God, I've been told my sensitivity is off the charts.
And it's beautiful. It's who you are. You are like me. We're a bunch of weirdos doing amazing things.
Indeed.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for your time. I don't know if you have more people, but you have helped. You really have.
But what I'm encouraging you, I'm not done with you by any shot.
Again, see, I don't like to take, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to take up their time.
Would it be okay that I made a choice and that you're not responsible for my choice?
That's correct. I am not responsible for your choice. Thank you for your choice.
Exactly. You get to make choices. I get to make choices. I am no better than you. I am no less than you. You are meeting me exactly where our energies are meant to meet. We're equal. Feel that with me. Now get your heart to feel my heart. Feel the strength of who I am, because that's you. Keep feeling. Stay out of your head. Keep feeling. Don't let your mind take over. Just let your body feel me. Just breathe with me and feel and allow the experience of the power of your heart, the love, and the gifts that you are now permeate into your body. And look at that nausea disappear.
Yes. Thank you.
Keep feeling.
Really appreciate it.
Keep feeling. Stop talking. Keep feeling. Just be in the experience with me and enjoy it. It's like savoring a glass of wine. We get to experience each other's magic. Now your heart's opening. This is awesome. Woo.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. You've really helped. And
you feel a little teary like me?
Worse, no. But you are awesome. You've been a lot of help, and I'm really glad that Tessa had you on tonight, and I hope that you can help more people.
Absolutely. And before you go, just let me be with you. There are two states of being. There's you, and there's the noise. Every time the noise of your mind comes in with a thought less than, you have to worry about Scotty and not taking up time, that's noise. To receive love is just to hold and feel it and know that you are allowed to feel the gift and be absolutely deserving of every single precious moment of this. You can receive this, and you can receive this, and you can receive it. You are so loved. You are so safe. You are so okay. You are the most brilliant expression of you that there is. Cool. So every time you don't want to feel this way, you know it's not you. So this is your point of reference for experiencing your love, your power, and your gentleness. So now you know what's not like you. That's why I held you in this experience. So now you can go, when I don't feel like this is just my head trying to mess with me. And you can tell it to Nick. You can tell it to nick off.
Okay.
I'm not sure what language you use in the States, but PO is in piss off. I'm not sure. Can I say that on the radio?
Oh yeah, we're fine here.
So anything that's in your mind that's not yours, you get to tell it to go. You have full permission to discern between a state of anxiety, a state of fear, a state of sadness, a state of anger, a state of depression, a state of less than, to know that it's not you. And then you get to tell that feeling that it's nothing to do with you, go. And you come back into this moment of this really beautiful experience of love and gentleness, which is you. Can you feel the difference?
Yes. So acknowledge it's not me and let it go.
Yeah, perfect. Or
Get
you
it
can
off
just say,
your shoulders.
You don't even have to acknowledge it. You can actually tell it to get the F out of here. It's not yours.
Well, thank you.
You can be a little more forceful and not be so polite to something which is an energy which is not working for you.
But that's good information. I mean, I've told lots of people that they're holding on to something that's not theirs to hold on to, but I never tell myself that. So,
wouldn't that be quite ironic to realize that you're a teacher and healer yourself?
Thank you. Appreciate that. And you have an awesome evening, you two.
You too,
You're
Glow.
welcome.
And I just have to agree with him. Like, you are such an amazing energy, and I know there's certain things that we all have where we know how to suppress or kind of tame that energy, but your energy is so wild and free. And sometimes Glow is actually an original member of Four Corners Paranormal Investigations and my sister, and I haven't got to see her forever. I really miss her, but I'm so glad she called, and I can feel these anxieties and different things going on within her. And if she's able to tap into this and kind of tame that energy and focus it in the direction that she needs to, like, the things that she does already is amazing and awesome, but I can imagine how much more prophetic and pronounced it could be if she could just focus that energy instead of it just kind of flies off of her, everywhere. It's an amazing energy, and I love her so much, and I'm so glad you called in, Glow.
Well, thank you, and you have a great evening, you two, and thank you very much for your help.
Hey,
I
Glow,
appreciate it.
just before you go, how's the nausea feel?
Good.
So the more that you actually start to be present with your body and not with your mind, this will shift.
Yes, I know.
Because you went back in your head then,
to...
I could feel the shifting back in.
It's just once it starts, it's like it's so hard.
So
I mean, I'm not. I'm not there
out.
now. I just know that when I'm there. So when I'm in that, I should call you.
I mean, that's what I'm about to suggest. Yes.
All right, I read your mind. Thank you. Love you too. Have a great evening.
Love you,
Bye-bye.
Glow.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye-bye. She is so amazing. And I'm so happy I met her. Yeah.
She's gorgeous. Her energy is so soft and gentle. She's like the total nurturing super mom energy.
Mm-hmm. Super mom for sure. And she's just so loving and giving, and she's afraid of taking, and I understand where she's coming from, as I come from a place of I've always been a giver, and I've had to learn in my latter years to not give so much and give some to myself, because without taking care of yourself, you can't really take care of other people. And I know a lot of us are in that place where we try to be the caretaker and the giver and support and help other people, but we need to do that for ourselves as well. It's so important. And also the being a victim of abuse, whether it's sexual or physical or whatnot, you go to the place of guilt where you feel like it was something you did and it's your fault when it really isn't. It's the fault of that person who is sick that has done this to you, and there's nothing you did to deserve it, and it's hard to get those oppressive feelings off. So I'm hoping this really, really helps, and I think it has, and I hope she does call you in the future.
Yeah. So, I think one of the things that I did was misconstrue pain for love, and I'd choose relationships where I might have received more pain than, because that's what my experience of love was. I didn't know what love truly was. I didn't know what gentle and softness was in the feminine until I actually started changing circles, and then I got to see what a woman in her feminine actually looked like. And my experience of love was harsh, and it was an experience that's all I knew. So we don't have a place of reference growing up, and we choose relationships based on what we had, and we choose life experiences. I remember one of my first employers used to scream at me, used to scare me so much. He used to scream and scream, and I just stayed there because that was my experience of what people did. There wasn't anything wrong about it. It was just that's what happens. People yell at you.
Yeah, and like we were discussing, it's all part of, your workplace or our upbringings and how people did different things, and it's a way that we learn, although a lot of things aren't right, but you were kind of like, this is where it's supposed to be, this is how it's supposed to happen, so I'm just going to stay here in this place of oppression and let this person yell at me. It can be so detrimental to your spirit and so bad for you, and it's good that we get out of these places and we're able to carry on and project positivity instead of negativity and break that cycle.
But even the person who's the perpetrator, like it's called Cartman's Triangle, Cartman's drama triangle. And it's a pattern of victim, perpetrator, rescuer, victim, perpetrator, rescuer. And when we're actually aware of this triangle, we can actually start to move through it. Because the person who showed me, then the person who showed them, and then the person who showed them how to do this behavior, I'm not going to blame them because that's their reference point. I'm going to move into expanding into awareness. As a conscious being, as a being of love, I don't want to hold that person in an identity that they were a perpetrator. I want to hold them in an identity that they were stuck in a place that wasn't their truth, and that's how they knew to respond that's how they knew how to react rather than respond. And that doesn't make it right. I'm just not going to make it wrong. I'd rather try and bring awareness into someone's experience so that they can move through into a whole new way of living. If we held everybody into a place of judgment and perpetration, then we perpetrated ourselves rather than giving them permission to be another way, giving them permission to change. It's like the bully at high school. It's an example that I use constantly. Is if I go back to my high school year, there was these two twin brothers who used to be bullies to me, and then later in life I caught up with them, and they weren't the same boys. They were men now, but they were still, they still had a presence to me of the bullies from high school. And I thought to myself, how can I shift that experience of these two boys from the time capsule that I'd held them in for so long to allowing them to be who they might be if I could let them grow, if I didn't hold them to account to a time capsule of information which was 20, 30 years old.
And it's so important to know that, and I've shared this with my sister and several other people, forgiveness isn't about the person you're forgiving. It's about you. It's forgiving this person gets that weight off your shoulders, gets that hate out of your heart, those prime feelings that you have. Let them go. Don't let them drag you down, because they will. The more you hold on to that, the more it will drag you down and keep you from your true purpose. And to me, forgiving the person that has wronged you is about you, about being able to lift that off of your shoulders or your chest or wherever it may lie.
Yeah, it is. And it's coming back into expansion of the creative again. What do you want to create in your life? Do you want to stay sitting in the dog doo-doo, or do you want to actually create something that's going to be the full expression of you? I've taken every painful experience as a driver and a motivator to actually create something else. To go back as a mature age student to study naturopathy, to go and face my deepest fears of not having money, being alone without a partner, and experiencing the world of being a student as an adult after I'd led a life of abundant excess. That was fearful, but my creative drive and my purpose of more is what kept me going. And now I love what sits in front of me, the idea of that I can create something. What can I make today? What can I do today? What can I shift in every moment? And that moving into the creative experience takes us away from what I would call the distractions that are stopping us from contributing to each other. You might even just be as simple as starting a program where you help kids learn baseball. You might even want to have a knitting club or some social event where you bring people together. There's so many ways in which the creative expression can contribute rather than being stuck in the destruction of the past, and actually find something that fills you rather than something that's keeping you, limp and stuck.
Can you tell us some of the steps that you took in your life? You said it was your friend that brought out to you that you just talk about yourself all the time. What were the healing steps that you took to get to who you are now and how you've grown to be able to help people? What steps did you take so others that are listening that have gifts can perhaps try the same thing and move deeper into the path of helping others?
I just kept saying yes to new experiences, even though I was scared. I went to an event 2 nights ago. It was called Conscious Leaders here in where I live, and it was a room full of very powerful individuals, very amazing people. And I was intimidated. I was fearful, but I said yes to the experience. And by the end of the 2.5 hours, I left blissed out and in completely a love experience. My heart was just glowing with some of the experiences I had. But prior to that, I was terrified. So it's what we say yes to. And it's kind of like this example. I say to people, do you like chocolate or vanilla? Let's ask you, Tess. Tessa, do you like chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Let's say it with an English accent.
I love chocolate.
So, okay, how do you know you like chocolate?
Because my body actually craves it, and I've learned instead of eating the light chocolate and the really sweet chocolate, go for the dark chocolate, and it feeds that void a lot longer than had I just eaten a Snickers or something.
So you've actually gone through a whole process of elimination and choice to know what you prefer.
Yeah, I did the Biggest Loser for a while, and one of my big things was my yearning for chocolate, and I learned the dark chocolate has the different vitamins and antioxidants and stuff in it that my body's craving, and it's not about the candy bar, it's about the
magnesium.
The fullness of the dark chocolate.
So this is the choice that I make, is that when you actually start to get the fullness of life experiences, when it comes to choosing new things, you may go through a few white chocolates, a few Snicker bars until you find the dark chocolate. So the whole idea of saying yes to a few things is so that you actually start to eliminate the white chocolates to find the dark chocolate. So you actually start to have the experiences which fulfill you more than the ones you are not sure will, so you don't try at all. So I started saying yes to a lot. I said yes to naturopathy. I was married, and it was my ex-wife who said to me, Scott, go and study naturopathy. She gave me permission. I was so wanting to have the experience that I wasn't going to say yes to it because of the story I'd created about the pressure to put on my wife to support me and what it would do to our house. And end of the day, my wife and I didn't work out, but I still had my course. If I hadn't said yes to my course, I may not have known how my life would turn out, but I said yes to the course because she gave me permission. But now I'm giving myself permission to try new things. I said yes to studying in Malta. Yeah, I went to live in Malta, a foreign country. I didn't know anyone there except the trainer, my teacher, and her family. My mother had just passed away and died. I remember sitting at the airport crying as I got the phone call with my mother just passing. It's her 10-year anniversary this year since I went and studied. And I remember that I was heading to a country where I knew very little about it, didn't know whether they spoke English, I didn't know about the cultures. It was just terrifying. But I decided that I wanted to invest in me more than not have the experience and stay home and mourn my mother, so that I could be a better me. And then I said yes to an experience that took me to another course of study. And I said yes to another experience that took me to living in other cities and took me to a place where I went and studied. I said yes to studying martial arts and I did in Australia, they have this, I'm not sure they have it in the US, it's called ecstatic dance. And it's this free form of dance expression where there's no touching, no talking, and they play an hour and a half of music that takes you on this really emotional journey, and you just let your body be the expression of the music. I'd never done dance, especially in front of a bunch of people. I could barely stand up in a nightclub and dance, let alone moving around like one of those wacky, wavy, kind of air guys that you see on the side of the car sales yards, waving their arms around. And that's where I ended up doing that and having a full expression of my body. And now I'm comfortable in front of people. I'm comfortable moving my body. So saying yes can be a very powerful thing to finding joy, which can create more experiences, which leads you more to joy experiences, which I honestly, I'm going to keep coming back to the theme of tonight for me with you guys, which is find your bliss and joy. What floats your boat.
And Sandra in the chat room's like, now I want chocolate. And it was funny, right before we started the show, my 15-year-old came in and was like, Mom, do you have any chocolate? I was like, no, I don't. I'm sorry. I wish I did because I could really use some right now. But Yeah, there's a draw for that out there. And different things that our spirits and our bodies thirst for. It's amazing what the body looks for and what the body needs, and how all of our stories are different, and that's what makes our job so fun. Like, every story is different, and there's always a different outcome and a different spirit involved, so it's pretty awesome.
I think the best way to describe life is about the experiences you want to create, because if you're not creating an experience, you're having one anyway. So why not put a little bit of effort into choosing the experience rather than letting it have an experience that may not be fulfilling your heart's desires? Choosing to change cities or move or change your situation, change the food that you're eating, choose to do something a little bit differently, or, riding your bike to work instead of catching the train or the bus, or driving, or just little things that you could do that might just be a simple pleasure in your life. Like for me, I love to ride my bicycle. It's just like meditation on wheels for me.
Now I'm hearing Queen again.
Mama, whoa.
I want to ride my bicycle.
Let's go. I want to ride it well. Welcome to the duet sessions.
Right? Who's next on the karaoke platform? This is the expression I'm talking about. Like, I am not comfortable singing in public, but it's fun. I can do a few little bars with you because it's safe. But for me to go and do a full set, I'm not at that place. But to actually have a jovial moment with song with you is beautiful. It's awesome. Yes, I love it. And I love karaoke because it's one of those things that makes my heart pump and makes me want to kind of jump out of my body and run. But I get up there and do it because it is such a rush. And I do love music and I do love to sing, which I probably shouldn't do it in public, but I do anyways. And after a couple shots, I really don't care. But it's funny how that works.
Put tape on the glass before we sing.
A little liquid courage helps. We have a caller from area code 425 who is calling. Who are we talking to?
It's me, Tess. It's Kevin. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Kevin? How's the new grandbaby? Congratulations.
Well, no, I haven't seen her yet. Sam's at the hospital yet, but I just wanted to call in and say I really love your guest, your first guest, your inaugural guest. I like that. I like them a lot. Oh,
hey.
I'm still going.
I like him a lot too. He's amazing.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah,
it's rather nice hearing from you, Kevin. I was changing my accent then for you.
Yeah, well, I wanted to say that it was interesting. Well, I'll give you a quick aside, Tessa, before we get started. You don't know this about me, but my great uncle invented milk chocolate and sold the recipe to the Cadbury's brothers.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that. Well, when I was in high school, we actually had Dutch milk chocolate in school. And once I had that as a teenager, there was no going back. Like, I just wanted that Dutch chocolate because it was so amazing and luscious. But yeah, the dark chocolate seems to do it. But that's awesome. You have that in your family tree.
Oh, the other thing that I wanted to ask was, and I won't keep you too long, but I'm assuming your guest's Australian. That's correct. I mean, I'm not New Zealander. He's an Australian.
I actually am a New Zealander, raised in Australia.
Oh, are you?
Oh, something new has been added.
I was having a little bit of a time there trying to recognize where the accent was from. So I thought I'd call in, and just ask you about that. But isn't that funny? I mean, I think that in a way I grew up in Northern Ireland, just so you know, and but I think that a lot of times this sort of this idea that you take a shift from, especially in a very machismo type scenario where in Australia, you know, everybody's a lad and everybody's macho and everything like that. I think it's actually very, very interesting that you have made this shift from one to the other, because I think it's almost harder to do it in societies like that. I mean, anybody always knows that, you know, Australian Anzac people, you know, are sort of big macho guys, and that they wouldn't cry or show any emotions and things like that.
Hey, it takes a real man to cry. Come on, let's be honest.
No, but I'm saying that it is an interesting thing because from that standpoint, it is a funny thing whenever you're growing around spiritual people to open up and be that way, to sort of get rid of the fears and everything like that, because for me it's been hard, because for a lot of things you just wouldn't do that. And showing emotion, having your dad tell you he loved you and things like that, it just wasn't done, you know what I mean, whenever I was a kid either.
Yeah, no.
And so that was just, it was, and so that's one of those things that's always been hard for me to transition into a relationship with an American, to be honest with you, because in a lot of ways you just, it's that sort of stiff upper lip thing that you don't seem to really, ever want to show emotions as a man. And is that something that as you come along and been more part of healing, that you feel like that gets easier as it comes, or you just sort of feel like you've ever had to reprogram your head or the way that you think?
I think that I've experienced the Australian macho man because I've been completely the opposite my entire life and felt like I was some sort of sook or pussy, as they may say. To actually being okay with my sensitivities and my vulnerabilities, and that I do cry and I am emotional and I am feeling, but at the same time I'm extremely strong. I can hold a lot of space when shit's going down.
Right.
And there is, there's a family lineage from my perspective there. My father's fathers they didn't show emotion, didn't hug. I remember I used to have to go and hug my father, and he'd give me the little pat on the back and like, get away.
Yeah, he
and I'm
cringed,
holding him.
Yeah. Try not to cringe, but he cringed.
And I'd hold him in an embrace, obviously not forcing, but I would hold him in an embrace and say, "I love you." And I think one of the missions of my being here was to break family contracts, family patterns, family agreements, DNA lineages, whatever. That's one of the awarenesses that I've had, was to bring in a new way of being for my clan.
Right. Well, that's one of the things that I struggle. I mean, I really do I do struggle with that at times, and it's hard because of the fact that everything needs to be so well proportioned and thought out, and that's sort of very hard to break into that idea of freeness without having something that holds you back. That sort of reservedness of trying to hold back. It's a weird thing because my family, we're fairly middle upper class, so that in that way you just wouldn't show a lot of that type of thing, and it's don't let them see you cry because then they're winning, And then I grew up in Northern Ireland during the Troubles and everything like that, and then that was doubly sure. Never let them see you cry. So, and that's one of those things where, from my perspective, it is so nice to hear sometimes people from other, British colonies, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's offensive to some people, but that sort of idea of people saying it's okay, and that's one of the things that I really loved your interaction with the last caller that called in, because you were so caring and you did get a lot of those different things from that understanding that letting that go is part of healing. But I think especially, and do you find this with men specifically, that it's harder to connect to a man than it is maybe a lady, because of the fact that men are by nature maybe not more skeptical about connecting on a soul level. I mean, I would imagine a lot of men don't, they sort of misconstrue that for
love.
Sort of, love, exactly. And it's not necessarily that love between men is a bad thing. It's just that some people will feel like if you do love another man and in a brotherly way, that could lead to something else or something. It seems to me like that's one of the things that I find is that it's very, very hard for men to actually embrace each other or to say that they love each other and things like that. And maybe that's just me. Like I said, I've got a ton of baggage, but I'm interested in your perspective on that.
Well, the most curious thing to me right now is the vulnerability of this phone call between you and I, which is completely the opposite to what you're saying to me. So, that's the incredible nature of what I've just experienced, Kevin, is that you've just rung up with the most vulnerable personal topic, and here we are sharing as man to man, and it's cool. So, that to me is awesome. And I also feel it's the circles we travel in. There are different circles where I can have a completely intimate conversation with other men who will hug. And I have some really amazing friends that we don't shake hands. They look at you like you're some sort of weirdo if you want to shake hands.
Right.
And then there are other men that because of the nature of who I am, I see into the soul of the human spirit in whatever darkness they're hiding or vulnerabilities. Sometimes when you are coming across as compassionate, soft, and vulnerable, you see the parts of themselves they don't want to see, which is that exact vulnerability and softness, which then triggers their story of being weak or, being the shame of the family or the guilt of the family. Well, there's a whole bunch of different reasons and possibilities. You feel very grounded. You feel very solid in your thinking. To me, I'm, I think you are a very enlightened individual. So it's very curious what you're saying to me.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I guess it's because of the fact that do you not feel at sometimes that it's an inverse relationship, right? The more that you actually feel like you're trying to get to the state of enlightenment, that the more you actually feel like you're not there. I mean, is that something that enters into your mind, or is that something that's not? I mean, it's almost like what people say: the more you know, the less you know, kind of thing. Or the more you know, the more you have. The more you know, you have to learn, type of a scenario. So, is it the humbleness of that journey that makes you sort of realize that maybe you're not as far as maybe you need to be? Or I mean, I don't know how to quite explain that, but I mean, that's the thing that I have found is like whenever I knew nothing, I was so sure of myself that I was right, And
what if you did? And what if you did know nothing? Would you be okay with that?
No. I mean, it's a constant journey, I think, to try to find out things. But as I have gone through different experiences and sort of paranormal and things like that, I find out that actually it's a lot more hard to put a finger on things, what it actually is. You open up the Pandora's box and therefore it's you go from Newtonian science to sort of quantum physics in one shot, and then anything's possible. And that's where you start to say, am I going down the right path? Is it right to sort of question everything, or is it more of a thing where, I guess what I'm saying is, and I'll try to put this succinctly, Tessa. But what there's a question
here.
Yeah, there is a question, but I'm just saying is part of it, is it, how do you put yourself in perspective in regards to the universe? Do you start to think to yourself, well, I'm sort of a minuscule part of it, or because of connective energies and tissues and things like that throughout the universe. So I'm creating things in the universe. I mean, I guess that's the big question of relativity, or how relative am I to the universe, or should I not worry about that? Should I more worry about where I am and the effects that I can have on others? I mean, maybe that's something you could write a book on, but I mean, and I'm sure that, you know, but what I'm saying is are those questions the things that you would try to approach, or you just say that, you know, today experiencing new things, learning new things and everything like that is the first step forward, and, you know, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step, you know, or...
Well, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in now. And the way I'm going to approach this for you is that there's a lot of judgment that I'm hearing, comparison. Yeah. And one of the things that I work on is a really simple concept of being rather than doing. It's about being me. It's not about my judgment to who I am to the universe, to who I am to different schools of knowledge, thoughts, paranormal, how much I do know, don't know. I went down the whole road of the rabbit hole of trying to be bigger, better, more expansive, more knowledgeable, the best. I went through the whole competitiveness of sport, and that followed me through into spirituality. I had to have the biggest crystal and the more powerful this and the biggest singing bowl and the whatever, and to a point where I surrendered to the being of me and the appreciation and gratitude of me. My experience is me just being in the world is a contribution. Every ounce of my being, each step that I take, each phone call, every letter I write, everyone I speak to, everything that I do, from the checkout operator through to the phone company, through to the gas guy, to whoever, is a contribution. And that's the significance that I make, is just in being, as you do through this conversation and your contribution today, which is awesome. I don't need to be knowing how the quantum reality or the paranormal works, because it's going to be whatever it will be, regardless of my thoughts. How I want to be in this moment. If you do want to take a quantum approach to it, what is the energy that you want to be in this world? What is the representation of Kevin? Who do you want your molecules and energy to be?
Well, I think you've nailed it right on the head, which is that you know, the competitive nature of myself is part of the issue, and I think that you, to be honest with you, you've given me a lot just in that answer. So I would say that you know, part of what people around me always tell me is, why did you try to compete with these people? Why are you trying to put yourself on a level of trying to measure yourself against someone else, or having this that's bigger than that? And I do think that that's part of my issue. So well done on that one.
Well, I hate to interrupt you guys, but we do have to go to break, and you continue to talk during the break if you'd like. Our listeners.
I'm happy with it the way it is. I'm going to say goodbye. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I think you're a very, very brave and smart man.
Thanks, Pete. I mean, Kevin. I said Peter. Peter's in my consciousness. Is there a Peter on the show somewhere?
There's Peter somewhere out there.
Thanks, Kevin. That was a beautiful chat, mate.
All right, you guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after these tunes. Hey everyone, welcome back to Late Night in the Rockies. We are joined by Mr. Scott Collins, the naturopath. I want to say Sinsate, but it's Sinsate. Welcome back.
It was just a distinction that I wanted to make over how I feel energy. That's why I did it. Yeah.
And we are joined by Mooney. How's Mooney doing tonight?
Doing good. And good to hear your voice again, Tessa. And
You too.
great show so far, Scott. I've been very interested hearing about you and about
Thanks,
your
mate.
ways of healing.
Yeah, it's more about finding the connection into where we created it and how we're maintaining it, as much as nutrition and medicine plays a role as well. So it's like a dual approach. So yeah, it's very helpful.
And so what are you going to be able to do for me tonight?
Ooh,
I'm pretty much up.
that's a big question. I am just feeling into you. The first thing I get, is it Mooney? Is that what we're going to call you? Mooney?
Mooney or Moonlight?
Moonlights. Cool. Well, what I'm feeling is that I get an experience of intensity through your mind when I'm actually experiencing you right now, like this electrical activities, like headaches, and you're very much a thinker and an overthinker, and I'm getting also radiating pain coming down from the back of your skull down through the side of the neck and through the head. It's actually causing me a little bit of discomfort right now, but that's okay. And I'm also feeling your left kidney. Yeah, a little bit of what you might call it adrenal fatigue or adrenal stress.
Yeah. Yeah, everywhere you've hit so far has been definite. And you said that last part was my left knee?
Oh, the left knee and the kidney.
Oh, my kidney, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got I've had some kidney problems. My kidneys shut down a few years. Well, it's been about 5 years ago because of diabetes medications that the doctors gave me, and they shut my kidneys down. They had medications and stuff, and so I had to stop taking them. And after that, they rebounded after that, but they're still not functioning 100%. But
yeah,
and yes, I have horrible headaches and cluster headaches and migraines, and I have severe problems with my neck. And something called ankylosing spondylitis, where my
I understand. Yeah, it's the fusing of the spine.
yeah, my bones fused together and my neck's screwed up really bad. That's the first place it went bad, and it's all the way down my spine. But
can you tell me where you grew up?
I grew up in Warren, Ohio. It's up near Lake Erie.
Was there any sort of contaminated water?
Well, we're a steel area. We grew up where it was a big steel town.
Yeah.
I don't know about the water so much. We really shouldn't have had contaminated water, but it was a lot of pollution in the air and stuff.
So that's that's why I asked where you're from, is that I was picking up on toxicity from childhood.
And they're very well, yeah, there very well could have been a lot of stuff, contamination in the air and stuff. And then I moved to North Carolina for 20 years, right in the center of North Carolina. And then I moved back here about 15 years ago. So, but yeah, I deal with a lot of problems with inflammation in my joints and the fusing of my spine and everything like that. And like I said, it caused me a lot of pain. And
are you under the care of a physician at the moment?
Oh yeah, about 10 of them.
10 of them. Okay.
Yeah.
If you were my client, I would start a process of adding more minerals in, particularly magnesium.
Okay.
If you hadn't considered magnesium.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm not on is magnesium.
That's a big one.
Vitamin D is very helpful as well.
Yeah, I take vitamin D like 50,000 units every week.
Cool. And one of the big things for ankylosing spondylitis is body movement, is trying to stay flexible and trying to, you maybe do yoga or Tai Chi or something, probably not yoga for you, but more Tai Chi based exercise, under supervision with a professional, because that will help with reducing the ankylosing spondylitis from getting worse.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Me trying to keep back, trying to keep flexible without totally aggravating everything and making it very incredible. That's a two-sided sword there, and when I'm in physical therapy and stuff like that, it usually just aggravates everything to the point where the pain is just too intense, so I can't keep going. And but yeah, that's a big one for me.
So I'm very curious about the toxicity of your background. I'm also curious about smoking as well.
Yeah, that's a bad one there.
Yeah. Smoking.
Never did it until like 25.
Are you still smoking now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the big things about cigarette smoke is it delivers lead into the bone and cadmium into the bone. And cadmium actually is quite connected to nerve pain, nerve damage, and weakening and softening of the bones.
Okay.
And one of the remedies that works against cadmium is zinc.
Okay.
Now, whether you go and get some professional advice from your local drugstore or pharmacist or naturopath locally, but you may want to consider picking up some zinc. Now, you have to not overdo zinc. Zinc can make some people nauseous, but if you have too much zinc, it can compete with copper and cause a copper imbalance. So that's why it's always good to work with someone when consuming zinc, someone who knows what they're doing. And you may also want to look at discussing either with me or about a detoxification strategy that would be very supportive of you. The other thing I'm really getting with you is that your hydration's completely off, mate. Your body is screaming for more water.
I believe you're correct on that.
Yeah.
My fluid intake is mainly for coffee and Coca-Cola.
So
and I
would
don't drink very much of it.
Would you be prepared to make different choices to help support your health and well-being?
Oh yeah. And I'm trying to do stuff with it.
Okay. So I'm also feel like you've got a bit of inflammation through your gut as well.
Yes.
So this is about nurturing and really starting to take care of you and watching what you eat, how you eat, when you eat, like overeating too late at night versus in the morning, and starting to be really, really vigilant of the kinds of foods which your body wants, not what your head wants, because you're so heady, you're very, very, very thought-driven, very cognitive, intellectually driven, that it would be your body will consume large amounts of glucose to fuel that much nervous energy or that much thought processes. And your glucose requirements go up. So having more minerals, so minerals are like magnesium, zinc, but a broad spectrum minerals can help actually with feeding your body, especially when you're really stressed all the time. Now, stress doesn't mean that you're worried about life. Stress can be physical stress, it can be chemical stress, it can be emotional stress, it can be radiation stress, because there's a lot of different stress types in our world. You may not know that.
I agree, and I know what you're talking about, and I am stressed I'm a stress eater. I eat to keep myself occupied. I just munch on stuff. That's basically my meals. I don't eat except for one little meal a day, and the rest of the time it's consuming little things to munch on just to keep me occupied. To bring my
and this, I remember an old herbalist years and years ago told me about this kidney juice, and it was celery, parsley, and cucumber to help support kidney function.
Okay. Celery, parsley, and cucumber.
Yeah, it's basically really most of it's just water, really.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of parsley personally. So,
Parsley doesn't bother me. Celery doesn't bother me. The cucumber, I've done cucumber water, so I can live with that. So
yeah,
I might
but
be able to
again,
throw that in there.
is your kidney function normal?
It's they do a strange numbering. It's on a when your kidney doctor gives you the numbers. My functions are good. They're not 100%, but they're not bad or by any means like that. So I
It's
I
just
get a
wise.
good number. Yeah,
It's
I
just
get a
wise
good
not.
number.
It's just wise not to overdo juice for kids. That's all.
Okay.
It's best to, if they've told you how much protein to have per day and all that kind of numbers, they've said to you the grams of that you're meant to consume, how many ounces of protein per day.
No. It's not like that. I'm much better than that. I don't have to worry about anything.
Okay.
The only thing they tell me to do is just don't consume a lot of like ibuprofen or something like that. That's the only thing they ever give me warnings on. But everything besides that, I'm good off. Well off on everything. So.
If you had a standard glass of juice a day, that would be fine. I'm not sure how many ounces in your language that would be. So to me, that's around 200 mils.
Okay.
Which I'll have to do a ounce to mil conversion. We're in metric over here.
Yeah, and 750 milligrams is like a quart.
So that's about
So
6 ounces roughly.
Yeah, something like that. And because alcohol's always in milliliters and stuff like that. So.
And alcohol's really, really good at depleting your body in B vitamins and minerals and nutrition and making your liver work harder. So
yeah, and I don't drink it anymore. So
yeah,
that's good.
And just focus on having lots of really healthy produce. Try to eat at least 2 to 3 cups a day of fresh produce.
Okay. Cool.
And if you buy a juicer, it makes it easier so you're not feeling like you're eating so much, and you just juice the celery and the other things that he had told you together, and you have your own juice mixture, and it's not like you're eating stuff you don't like. You can down it real quick, and it'll still have the same effects.
Yeah, I've thought about that over the years, and that's probably about the way that I'm going to have to do it. And that'll be another way for me to get by adding the water to that to get it juiced is there's probably a way that I'll have to go ahead and do it to get my fluid intake also, because for some reason I just have a problem getting my fluids in my body.
One of the secrets that I do is to go and get an old pop bottle and just count how many times I refill it, like the larger size, not the single Coke Buddy size, but the bigger pop bottles. That would like be
2 quarts
and then just fill that with water and keep it with you, and then you can actually count how many times you filled it, and rather than having a glass here and there where you can't be sure how many you had, at least you can count, I filled the pop bottle twice.
Yeah. That's a good idea. That's a good way to keep track of them. Because, the 2-liter bottles is what we have, but we've had those for years, and that's a good size to keep track of right there.
Yeah, it's just a great way to manage what you're trying to do.
But yeah, those all sound like good things I need to start doing, and definitely, if nothing else I take out of this, I definitely have to start to get that magnesium and the zinc, and to start getting myself better hydrated, and then get myself with some stuff to get
Look, if you need to book a time with me, we can talk about it. Otherwise, reach out. Sometimes you got to go and have someone who's going to hold your hand through the process too. It's not about trying to motivate yourself. One of the big things that I find with people when it makes change, it's not that people don't have the best intention to change. It's simply they may not have enough recipes or ideas in them to know what to do with new foods or what they can do with the produce that they have. So sometimes having a support around you can be a really amazing way to help you learn as you change your health.
And another thing, like with the water, when I was doing The Biggest Loser, I found that I was not drinking enough water. And I needed to drink 4 more of like the 16 milliliter bottles. So I'd have 4 beside me. I'd chug 1 before I ate breakfast. That way my organs and stuff were hydrated enough to actually functionally digest the food that I was eating. And then after that, I would just try to drink the other 3 throughout the day. And then once you get past that point, then try the bigger bottles, because sometimes the visual value of something can be overwhelming. So try the smaller ones and then go to the bigger ones, or whichever one you're more comfortable with, because the water thing is very important with the zinc and the calcium with the D3 in it, so on and so forth. Just take that with your regular stuff, but I'm hoping it helps. And I know hydration really does help with joints and so on and so forth. And I know you have fusion, and that's hardcore. I feel you all the time.
See, water actually helps support the spine. See, your spongy tissue on the spine needs water.
And I agree 100% on all that. And the thing that's so weird is that for this last week, I've been trying to count up how much fluids I've been taking in. And I keep saying to myself, that's just not enough. And it's not enough to flush myself out. And some of the toxins and stuff I got in my body and everything else. I just, I've been trying to tell myself that I need to take in more fluids. And then you guys brought it up, and then that's double it. Because I even knew myself I wasn't getting enough. So yeah. And I got this, I can replay this, and I can write this stuff down. And so yeah, that's great. That's some good stuff for me to consider. And I think along with this is going to be a good start here. Okay.
Cool, mate. Good luck with it all. But remember, you're not on your own, so ask questions if you get stuck.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Scott. And I might take it off to follow up with you on this, okay?
No worries. That'd be fantastic.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you much. Thank you, Tess. And you guys have a great night. Good luck on the new show.
Thanks, Mooney. You have a good night as well.
Thanks, mate.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I feel like everything that you are coming up with all the callers that are coming in, is very right on, and I'm so interested and intrigued, and I want to hear more.
Look, after years of practice, I just find a lot of things are fundamentals, which is feed the body minerals, drink water, exercise, add joy into your life. Really just be more mindful of what you're doing to your body and how your body wants, what your body wants. Your body will tell you, and it's just listening. And sometimes we're so busy in our heads that we'll push through something rather than give it what it needs. Like I went to eat dinner last. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
We have a caller from area code 662. Who are we talking to?
Alyssa.
Hey, Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's good to hear your voice. You sound tired.
I am. My new job.
Oh, no. You broke up. You said my new job, and then I couldn't hear anything else.
My new job and my skills is different, so it's strange.
Taking a little getting used to it?
Yeah, to say the least. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just...
I love your accent.
Oh, I love yours too. Thank you.
Whereabouts are you from?
I am from Mississippi.
Is that a southern accent then?
Indeed.
Yes. Indeed.
Do I get to say y'all come back now?
Yeah. I was going to see about maybe some sort of, I've never had any sort of reading other than one, which was on another show Tessa done. And I was going to see about some spiritual advice, I suppose.
I think for me, that the biggest thing for you is that you're not sure who to believe and where to go.
I am kind of at a place where I'm not sure if it's time to jump or if it's time to wait, if that makes sense.
Do not jump.
Don't jump.
You're a question away from finding out who you are. And when I say a question away, it's just that when you question what your experience is rather than judging your experiences, you'll find the truth, and a lot of the noise that's in your head isn't yours.
I agree with that. I had stopped and kind of made myself believe that I had took care of some things spiritually that I had not actually took care of. And after working on that, I don't know whether I need to continue to stay idle where I'm at or jump forward.
Well, when you said jump, to me, I went to the extreme of jump, which is exiting this life.
Oh, no. It's more on my path of what I'm doing and where I want to go with it.
To me, the big thing that I'm experiencing is your head is like, again, I'm really sensitive to people's energy, and there is so much overthinking that the reason that you aren't making a clear choice is that you haven't stepped out of your head back into your body.
That makes sense.
It's almost like if you were to, let's do this right here, right now with you. I just want you to be present with me. I want you to feel me. I'm in Australia. I want you to feel my body. I want you to feel my presence. I want you to connect to the groundedness and the strength, which I'm only mirroring who you are anyway. And just to really know this is your core essence of who you are, this amazing strength. And when you get to experience your body versus your head, you'll soon start to know which is left, which is right choice to make. And you won't go into judgment of your choices and self-doubt. You'll actually have an inner instinct that'll actually guide you to the truth. So the question to ask next is, what's true for me? And I always preface it with true so that the energy is true and not being influenced by anything else. So just breathe with me. In and out your nose, very gently. Just keep breathing, keep breathing. So tell me what's your favorite stream or lake you like to go to?
Alyssa, are you there? Hold on 1 second. Let me look. Okay, I think we lost her. Let me call her back. Holy shnikes, where'd she go? Okay. Let me look back in the history. Okay. Sorry about that. I think they're in an area where it's like difficult for them to get reception at times, especially when they need help.
It's quite curious when you're shifting with clients, and then the technology will not support it because of the shift that's happening, and it's almost a form of sabotage.
Yeah, power's working against you. Alyssa, are you back? Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I heard what he was saying, and to answer his question, it's a place really close to where we live.
Yeah, as soon as I started to feel you, I felt like you had a real strong fondness for water.
I'm a Cancer. I love water.
Hey, there you go. So water's your happy place?
My pool.
Great. So one of the reason I brought up water and for you is that you'll find that you'll get a lot more clarity when you remove yourself from all the noise of he said, she said, and what people's opinion are to actually finding your own truth and an answer, which is just being present in your body. When your head is busy and your emotions and your fear and your anxiety are playing up, that's when you know it's not you. When it's time to come to know. Remember I said earlier, but there's self and not self.
Right.
So anything that's fear, anger, shame, guilt, blame is not self. And those are your early warning signs to know that it's time to come back into your body, become present. And sometimes it may be really challenging to do that. And what I find to do is to go by water, go and sit in the water, swim in the water, and breathe by the water. Mm-hmm. And what I do is I just kind of, whenever I'm feeling any of these emotions, I go, whose are they? They're not mine. Can I give them back?
Right.
Because you're like, honestly, people who are tuning into this show and people who are listening, they're sensitives. We're all creative sensitives, which means that we're picking up on the shit in our life, which isn't ours.
For me, I, without diving in too much, have been in tune with a lot of my spirituality for a very long time, and I've worked with it and done a lot of different things and have grown tremendously over a year and a half. And then there was a huge shake in my energy stream, I suppose. And it seems like every single time that I think that I'm done with it and I begin to start working again, it comes back and it comes back and it comes back, and I can't tell if it's because I haven't learned whatever lesson I was supposed to learn, or I don't know what else to do to get rid of it other than something that would cause confrontation, and I don't necessarily want to do that because that's not who I am. But it's
so, are you talking about an energy within self, or are you talking about with another individual?
It was with multiple individuals. It was a group setting. It was very damaging and hurtful.
So would it be okay to leave that group?
I already did. That's what I'm saying. I did, and I've tried so hard, and every time I think that I'm done and I've healed and I've let it go, something happens and I realize that I haven't. It's like something is holding me back from growing, and I don't know what it is.
Can I share a perspective?
Yes.
What if you've just made the wrongness of you more powerful than anything else, and that your energetics are inciting people to prove you're wrong, you're not worthy, you're not valuable. And in saying that this is just an unconscious agreement within self that you can clear, that you're no longer going to play this contract out, you're no longer going to do this behavior. You can release. I usually do a process where I say I release all contracts, agreements, beliefs, and identities with XYZ people to never be repeated, and I claim my sovereignty over all.
So it would pretty much be, for me, what I can visualize myself doing is some sort of guided meditation that leads into some sort of cord cutting again.
Well, it's not even about the chords. It's simply that there's an energy which has made you wrong to be here, and that you keep getting presented with proof that you're wrong, the wrongness of you, or the insignificance of you, and the unworthiness of you. So what I'd like you to do right now with me is to move your energy outwards, outwards, outwards to the edges of the universe, and just wherever you want to take it, just keep moving your energy outward and outward and outward. Keep going, keep going. Breathe with me. Expand, expand, expand. Breathe, keep breathing. Stop going in your head if you can. Just keep breathing. Put your hand on your heart and just feel
emotional.
Okay, breathe through it. Just keep breathing. It's not true. It's not true. Right? Fear, emotion, it's just an aspect of you that's trying to stop you playing this game. It wants control over you. It wants to keep power over you. So you ready to piss this off? Do you want to delete this from your experience now?
I do, very much so.
Great. You just made a choice. Thank you. See how powerful we are? We get to make choices of what we want to do. We don't have to stay in this state of being. We don't have to go through thousands and thousands of processes of meditations and cord cutting. It's simply a part of you that wants to hold on to the story of your insignificance until you decide to expand into the infinite nature of who you really, truly are, like we all are. You get to expand to that most amazing power that's in your heart, that huge heart energy which you hold, and that love for people is your gift to this world. Just keep letting that heart energy, like this infinite nuclear reactor that's just never going to stop. It's going to beat forever. Can you now feel the strength in your body through expansion?
Some of it, but most of it right now is just like a very emotional thing.
Yeah. So just ask, whose emotion is it? Who does it belong to?
It's mine.
Is it? Is that true?
It is.
Say truth before it. Is this true for me?
It is, because it.
Okay.
I guess it just still hurts. I don't know.
So what if you've made you more wrong? And that's not true. Are you wrong about being the most significant, infinite being?
No.
You're not. Are you significant?
I am.
Are you infinite?
I am.
And everything else isn't true then? So what happens when you're powerful? People are going to turn up who want to prove they're more powerful and crush your spirit so that you cannot be powerful because they want your power. So you don't have to play the game anymore. You can be aware of it. When someone wants to crush you, this is what my coach does with me. We have this little game where we put a coffee table between us and people. And when someone's talking, we put an idea on the coffee table and observe it. Rather than picking it up and taking it on, we leave it on the coffee table and leave it as a point of view, a perspective. So now when you get to look at people and in your interactions with people, you get to have this coffee table between you and everybody else, and you get to choose what you will pick up and what you won't pick up and what you will own and what you won't own.
That makes a lot of sense.
And the reason I said that you were sensitive because you're picking up off the coffee table. As soon as someone puts their pamphlet down, you're picking it up and having a read and then owning it. Just leave it there. How are you feeling?
Well, better.
Can you keep expanding?
Heavy.
Can you keep expanding?
I can.
Cool. Guess what lightness means? It means that you're releasing the energies that were never yours. When you feel lighter and it goes, it was never yours. If you feel heavier, then it might be yours.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
Just remember there's self and non-self. The more that you practice understanding that anything that's fear, sadness, guilt, grief, shame, blame, any of those negative words are not you. And that 99% of them belong to other people. And you get to focus on joy, contentment, gratitude, and the contribution that you want to make to the world. And you know what you do with people who want to shut you down? You out-create them. You don't blame them. You don't judge them. You just be more creative in your experience and start to bring the magic to you, the world which you are. I'm going to feel into your magic right now. Is that okay?
Yes.
Right. So where have you stopped being creative?
I quit doing a lot of my one-on-one readings, and I only took immediate cases that needed help. I kind of removed myself from what I was doing. I just walked off and left it.
Okay. All right. Well, know that you're good at what you do. Know that you're really sensitive. That's why you're so good at what you do. And I also wanted to know, you know how people used to paint rocks with little eyes and mouths on them? What's that to you?
I have one beside my bed that my son made.
Great. What's he showing you?
The rock.
What's your son showing you?
I don't understand what you mean.
What's the message in what he's gifted you with the rock?
He made it and wanted me to have it. He put eyes on it, and a mouth, and a heart.
So what do you think that means to you?
I really don't know.
So for me, is that I see you and I love you, and you are my rock, and I trust you.
Aww.
Yeah. Oh.
So he showed you the truth of who you are, and then you have this effervescent memory that's with you always to stand beside you to say, you are a rock in this world, you are a gift, and you have been seen.
Well, thank you. I mean, I really do appreciate your time.
Well, and it's so true. You and Caden, to me, are some of the strongest, most amazing people spiritually and physically that I know, and I'm just so happy to know you guys as my family and my friends, and I'm so excited for this October when I get to go out and actually hug you guys and go on a paranormal investigation, and I'm sitting here crying for you because, like, you are the rock for your son.
I think it's emotional for you because you know a lot of what has happened in our stuff, you know, for the last couple of months. So without going into detail, you already know. So it's been difficult for me for a time now.
You get to be creative now, not have a difficult time. You get to go and have fun and be creative.
And let what everybody's saying and trying to put on you and project onto you, let it run off your back like water off a duck's back. Like, it has nothing to do with you. It's all about them and their insecurities and the way they feel about themselves. And it's not you, it's them.
Deep down, I knew that, but it's like I couldn't just...
Would you like to let go of the story right now? Would you like to release the story, the drama, all of the untruths, all of the beliefs, the contracts and agreements where you have to be proven to be insignificant? Are you done?
Yes.
Great. I'm going to say something to you. I release all contracts, agreements, beliefs, agendas of any kind, any handshakes, any backroom deals that have to prove me wrong, have to prove me less than, have to make me more insignificant than I already think I am, and that's no longer true for me. I delete it, destroy it, remove it from my experience now. You get to piss it off right now.
Piss it off.
Yes, mate.
Let's muck off a cliff with it. A muck off a cliff with it.
A dingo stole my baby.
It was the dingo that stole your baby.
So I think the most amazing gift you can be is to become this creative genius, which you are. Follow that creative inspiration that is within you. That's why I asked you if you were where you've stopped creating, because that's where the magic lays.
I understand. I do. And I really do. Like I said, I appreciate your time and your help. And thank you, Tessa, for taking my call.
I have one more thing to share with you.
Okay.
if you go round and round in circles with the same story, you build a furrow, don't you?
Yes.
So the more you tell the story, the more you reinforce it. So I'm only suggesting that the more that you find other things to pursue, the less the story can be told, the less the furrow will be.
And that makes sense also.
Yeah.
Indeed. That's good advice. I like it.
It is.
I like it a lot.
Me too.
It's beautiful, mate. It's a beauty.
It's a beaut.
Put another shrimp on the barbie.
What, Alyssa?
Do you have a caller waiting?
I don't believe so. Let me double check. Nope. It's just the three of us.
Okay,
Just
Caden,
the three
I'm
of
just
us?
going to
Uh-huh.
use my phone instead of him calling.
Okay.
But he said he would like one too.
Oh, I love that. Yes, please do.
What's
Okay, hang
happening?
on.
I missed that.
Caden, Alyssa's partner, husband, I believe, is going to come on.
Cool.
What's up, Tess?
Hey, Caden.
What are you doing, lovely?
Oh, I am just having a wonderful time with all this amazing energy and Scott on the line. He's amazing. I
Yeah.
love what he does, and I love his spirit and how he's helping my friends.
Yeah, I've
Hey,
been.
Caleb.
Now that we finally got back on Spreaker, Mr. Scott sounds like a really cool guy. How you doing, Mr. Scott?
Hey, mate, how are you?
Doing well, doing well.
You can call me Scotty than Mr. Scott.
Okay.
Beam me up, Scotty.
That's,
Yes,
yeah,
Captain.
That's it.
Captain, the transporter's blowing up.
Power crystals can't take anymore.
The thermonuclear, whatever. I'm so not a Trekkie. I'm gonna disappoint a lot of Trekkies if I even try to talk Trekkie.
Are you going to bow out right now?
With grace and honor.
I respect your bow.
And so do the Trekkies.
So, Caden, what's going on?
Oh, I just figured since she wanted to call in and kind of get some advice on that, and I told her that if nobody else was waiting, I would ask Scott a question.
I love that you guys did that.
insight.
Pass the torch.
Absolutely. Yep, passing the torch right on.
What an awesome relationship you guys have.
Oh, yeah. We've been together over 6 years now, been married over 1. So,
It's
definitely, yes. Another story for another time, but yeah, it's pretty wild how we ended up together. So
It makes my heart all warm and fuzzy.
goodness.
I love you.
Let's face it.
I love you,
Cadence
Alyssa.
he's a big marshmallow.
Mm-hmm.
I really am.
With a crispy outside, but really a really soft inside.
Exactly. That is exactly right. Most people, when they meet me, they think I'm this biggest butthole in the world, and then they get to know me, and they're like, "You're just a softie." And I'm like, "Yep."
Do you have one of those big Texas mustaches?
No, I don't.
Not
That
yet.
is like the last thing that's trying to grow on my face. I have a nice beard, but the mustache just refuses to come in. It's like super blonde. The rest of my beard is red.
You might
I just
have to
had
get
you
some.
with facial hair, but I had you with facial hair, and I felt like a mustache. So that's why I asked.
Maybe it's because that's what I've been wishing for like 3 years now. Is that stash is finally coming up.
Big set of handlebars, mate.
He's got the
Yeah.
facial hair going on, but not quite the handlebars yet. But I'm gonna
Not-
put
not
some
yet.
love on it when I come there, and maybe like
More of
some
a
energy
hairy
into it.
A hairy tricycle, not a motorbike.
Yeah, just have everybody put their hands in my face and just put some good juju on there so it'll grow.
Hallelujah.
I will be 28 next month.
Wow, you sound like an older soul than that, mate.
Thank you.
He is. I saw pictures of him from the Civil War. It was insane. I was like, how old are you really? Are you an immortal, or was that you in a past life? I'm kind of confused.
What's
I tell everybody
Lincoln like?
I am an old soul, but it's because of my own choosing. Because of my younger years, I was very rebellious and had to grow up really quick. So
Well done to you being the amazing man you are.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. But my question is, I have some really big plans unfolding in 2020, hopefully. And I'm on the box about if, I should continue for my plans. What it is the first ever Paracon in the South. It's never been done in our area that I'm aware of, and nobody else around me has ever been to a Paracon in this side of the United States. So I'm trying to get together a Paracon for the South, and I'm just curious as to if I should be leery about some things or if, I need to concentrate on more areas.
See, the question for me is that I really appreciate that you trust to ask me, but what I want to do is I want to hand the power back to you. Okay. And the way I'm going to do that is that what is about having this event that's so important to you that it's driving you to do it?
A couple of different reasons. The main being the way that I want to do our Paracon is it's completely free for anybody to go to. I want
just be careful of giving away any intellectual property on the radio too, mate. Just so you're not giving away too. Yeah.
I mean I wanted people around our area, because we are in the Bible Belt. They're so scared about the paranormal. If anything moves, it's automatically a demon. So I want people to gain knowledge in that aspect and also meet other people that are somewhat local that could help them in their area. But also the focus of it is any and all donations that we get are going to half of it's going to an orphanage, the other half is going to a rehabilitation center that is really near and dear to both of our hearts. And then we're also going to have a blood drive because blood's extremely low in Mississippi right now.
So let me ask you the next question. What is your greatest fear around this?
Honestly, I guess my greatest fear is failure, that I put forth all this energy, put forth all this effort, and to only have, 5 or 6 people come, which, as long as those 5 or 6 get the knowledge that they need, that's great.
Let's stop there. Let's ask the truth. Is that possible? Is that really going to happen? Connect into the energy of who you are. I want you to go. If you had to stand between someone and your family, what kind of strength and energy would you bring?
I'm naturally protective.
Right. So that natural power is within you. So if you feel that strength, which is you, right, now I want you to be that energy in your business. Be the energy that your business needs. Because what's happening, you're in your head and you're playing with all these fantasy scenarios. I'm being a bit tough. I'm so sorry.
I'd rather you be blunt honest with me. I'm just that type.
That the worst thing that could happen is that you fail, correct?
Correct.
Now let's look at your life. Have you created a 6-year relationship?
Yeah.
Have you created a 6-year successful relationship with 1 year of successful marriage?
Yes.
So you must have some real talents and skills in negotiating, communication, sharing, and providing.
Okay.
Are you going to say yes? Or are you thinking about it? Yeah. Has your family gone with? I'm going somewhere with you. If you can bear with me before you let your head take over.
Okay.
Have you failed your family?
I would like to say no.
Great. So you have the skills, the abilities, and the talents to achieve what you want with what you're doing. And all you have to do is stay committed in your heart space and not listen to the noise, which is from the past. Now I want you to go into the noise. Whose noise is it? Who does it belong to?
a handful. If I'm
Would
being
you like
honest.
to give it? Okay, that's great. This is good because this is what we want to do. We want to go to the noise, who it is. Do you want to give it back to them?
Yes.
Great. Just say return to sender. Now, do you feel lighter after saying that or heavier?
Honestly, I don't feel a change.
Okay. Go into it again. This feel, whose is it? I want you to say, who does this belong to?
And maybe say it out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes to 2 different teams that are somewhat locally to us, and then my own voice.
Okay, let's go older than the teams. Let's go to childhood. Let's just go straight to your dad, actually. I'm not going to muck around.
Yeah, that's not, well, I guess I shouldn't be shocked that you said him, but.
Can you see the gift can you find the gifts in your old man?
No.
Okay. What if he did give you gifts? Would you be open to the possibility that he gave you gifts?
Probably not.
What if there was something that you could never imagine that there was a gift in it?
Possibly.
Great. What if you could let go of all the stories, all the ideas, all the ideals of who your father is, all of the identities, all the values, all the behaviors, everything about him, and you could hit the delete button and it wasn't true? Would you be okay to hit the delete button?
I would probably hit it in a heartbeat.
Right.
Guys, I hate to interrupt. Scott, can you do a pause real quick with Caden and tell our listeners where to find you?
You can find me at scottcollins.com.au, or you can find me on Instagram is Scott Naturopath Sinsate, and the same on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing your gifts and helping my friends and listeners. It's been an amazing evening, and I'm so glad that I found you.
Thank you. You're a really awesome human being, and that's why I said yes to doing your show.
And I can't wait to have you back again. So you and Caden continue on with your reading, and I'll go ahead and let go of our friends and listeners here.
Cool. Thanks very much.
All right. Good night, Scott. See you in the after
Good
party,
night.
hopefully.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! And thank you all so much for joining us on the Paradox Media outlet. And tonight we have been joined by Scott Collins on Late Night in the Rockies. I thank you guys so much for joining me. If you'd like to head out and join us for the after party, you can find me at Tessa Thomas-Peterson, or just call me on the cell phone at 970-335-9596. I thank you guys so much for listening tonight. It really means a lot to me. And night night, love and light to all my Paradox Media listeners out there. You guys take care of my yous, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow night. Nighty night, love and light.